Good morning. Welcome to You Got This with Melinda Garvey. I'm really excited to be here with you today because I'm talking about a super important topic. And I actually got several questions about this particular thing about confidence. That's what we're going to talk about today, confidence. But yesterday, I opened up the Wall Street Journal and I was leafing through, and guess what I saw? A full page on women and the confidence gap. And I just think that this is so critically important because not only do I get asked about it all the time, but I actually get asked to speak about it. In fact, just recently, I spoke to an amazing group of women. It's called the Amazing Women's Alliance with Darlene Templeton. And she actually named this year for her group the Year of Confidence because she wanted to make sure that every woman in that group was really focusing on this confidence gap and making sure that they were really trying to boost their confidence and surrounding themselves with the people and just the tools that they needed to have confidence, because we know it's critical for women to be able to get ahead. So I wanted just to start out with a couple of statistics for you all about this confidence gap, because we hear about it all the time, and I know if you're like me, you feel it, because even someone like me who I actually have a lot of self-confidence. I was a gift I was given, but I lack confidence sometimes. Things get out of control and they get scary and you don't feel like you have the support. So we're all in this together and we're going to figure out how to solve this. So first of all, let's talk about even just applying for jobs, that basic thing. And a lot of you have probably even heard this statistic that when men apply for a job, they only need to meet 60% of the qualifications for that job in order to feel confident about applying. They're like, yeah, I got this, no problem. I mean, I have half of it, half the things they're looking for. Whereas women, wait for it, 100%. Women have to feel 100% confident that they have ticked off every single qualification that that job is looking for in order to even apply. And right there, just if we just could eliminate that statistic, right? If we could solve just that and get women who are applying and who are putting it out there, so much would be solved in this women's advancement. So we're going to talk a lot about that. And probably in the coming months, we're going to be talking a lot about this confidence issue because it comes up a lot. And I think that what happens is that when women can't see relatable role models, right? When they can't see other women who have done it before them, they don't have that role model to look at. That just augments that confidence gap because we can't see someone else who's done it, who looks like us, that we can follow their path. And certainly when you're applying for jobs, if you see a bunch of guys and they're all applying, you may, well, gosh, I don't see a whole lot of women applying, so I'm going to follow that and I must not be good enough. And that is really critical. So again, it all comes back to these relatable role models. They are pivotal in your life and for your future success. So I just encourage you to surround yourself with those relatable role models. And of course, On the Dot gives that to you every single day. So let's talk about another study that I found, which I think is really interesting. And it's also something I've been talking a lot about. Authors actually found that they did this study out of Stanford, and that when women have each other's backs, confidence goes way up, right? Through the roof. And think about that. I've talked about this critical ecosystem about women helping women and paying it forward and understanding that at the end of the day, that's all going to come back around to you. So I want us all to imagine, just sit back for a second and imagine that you have a really big, important presentation. Okay. So we all got that in our mind. Is everybody getting a little like butterflies in their stomach? Like, whoo, I got to go into this big presentation, right? And there are going to be a lot of people in the room. And there are going to be women in the room also. And what if you walked into that presentation and you knew unequivocally, right? You knew that every single other woman in that room had your back. How much more confident would you feel? How much more passionate about your ideas? How much more would you express? How much bolder would you be and more forceful about what you're talking about and how you're presenting. And this is so incredibly important. So again, it's all about this ecosystem. So I want to talk a little bit. I got a couple questions that, again, are surrounding this same subject. And the first one's from Lolise Babb. And she says, in the dark, when we have our deepest fears and insecurities exposed, what do you do to continue moving forward? You know, and that's a hard one because we've all been in that dark place, right? Where you feel alone and you feel like no one else is in the same place as you and no one else can help you and you're wallowing in it. We circle right back around to this ecosystem. If we knew we had it and we could reach out, none of us are alone. That's the great thing. You don't have to be alone, but you are going to be alone if you are not part of this ecosystem, if you're not actively seeking the kind of women who are going to be supporting you. And in fact, you know, just going back to that, you know, that big meeting, that big presentation, studies have shown that when women get encouraging comments in the middle of those presentations and that boosts that confidence, boom, it goes right forward. So think about that when you're in that dark, scary place. And that's what I do. I immediately call somebody because we all get there. And sometimes I was like, oh, I can't tell anybody this because my friends don't want to hear it again. But you know what? I also know that that one boost of encouragement, that comment that someone's going to make, that belief in me that I know the person I'm calling has in me will make all the difference. It'll turn it on a dime. So I encourage you to do that. Next time you're in that dark place, make sure you've got the lifeline. What's that show where you got the lifelines? I love that. And make sure you've got that lifeline because that person can give you that encouraging word. And also make sure that you're a lifeline for somebody else. I want to talk about our next question from Megan Tull. And I think this also really ties into the confidence of women. And she says, how can women become more empowered and understand their value in the marketplace? So critical. Goes back to women not seeing their value, that even if they only have 50 or 60% of the qualifications for a job, that they're still bringing so much value and they can learn the rest if we just had that. So women being able to see that value. But I also think it goes back to sharing, right? Us sharing best practices with each other, sharing what we're charging. If we have our own business or our own consulting, what are you charging per hour? What are people paying? How are we doing this? Really working together. You know, in big corporate America, that would be called collusion or, you know, price fixing or whatever. But hey, we need to share that so that you have the confidence to know your value and know what that is in the marketplace. And that is really critical because the minute you undersell yourself, the next woman that comes along is not going to get, even if she has the confidence and she knows her value, she's going to have a much harder time getting that pay, getting that value, because the woman before her has undersold herself. And so in the eye of the client, in the eye of the purchaser, whatever it is, that service is devalued. So you have to be really careful about that because not only are you hurting yourself by devaluing, but you're hurting those who come behind you. So super, super important to understand and know your value. And I want to get to our last question and then do a little recap on this. It's from Deborah Whitby. And she talks about, as a business owner, I think the scariest thing that we all face, and the thing that I think we lack confidence is those constant decisions we have to make, right? Everyone's looking to us to make decisions every minute of the day. And believe me, there are plenty of decisions that we make where we don't know what we're doing. But we have to make them. We have to move forward and we have to make those decisions. So how do you build that confidence really on a day-to-day, an hour-by-hour basis, right? As a business owner, because no one else is making those decisions. And the quickest way to start circling the drain is to be stagnant, to not make decisions. Indecision is the worst place for anyone to be. And again, I know I'm sounding like a broken record, but it goes back to having that tribe, that posse, having other women that you can learn from, seeing other role models and watch the way they make decisions. And when you don't know the answer, you don't know even if you've made a right decision, even after the fact, reaching out to people who have done this in their business and saying, I was faced with the decision and I had two options. I had two forks in the road and I didn't know which way to go. So I picked one. But talk to me, how would your thought process have gone? What would you have chosen and how would you have done it? Because getting other people's perspectives on that is also really critical. You're supposed to be filling yourself with this knowledge, but we've got to reach out. We have to be vulnerable. We have to be able to talk to others about that. And others, those relatable role models, are willing to help and they're there for you. And you can watch those women and what they do and learn from them so that you too can move ahead and be more confident in every decision that you make as a business owner, because you're not going to make right ones. In fact, you're going to fail more than you succeed. That's just life in general. I teach my young son that hey, the failures are what makes you strong and what helps you learn, and what also is that sort of that nudge that, hey, I can't stop pushing because I know that I don't know everything. None of us do. And those failures, those decisions that you make that aren't quite right, you can have confidence even in the wrong ones because you know that that's what's going to really propel you forward. So, big topic today on confidence, and I just want to do a little bit of recap because I think this is such a critical issue for women. And I want to talk a little bit about this fear, and people kind of relate fear and the confidence gap in the same, in the same sort of realm. And I guess that I really look at them as two completely different things. I think that we're always going to have fear. Look, if we don't, my belief is that being fearless is actually a little bit irresponsible because sometimes that fear, that churning in your stomach that you get, when you're going into that big presentation, means that you're doing something really big, that you're pushing yourself beyond what your comfort level is. And that's important to do that all the time. So if you're just like walking around all fearless and stuff, you're probably not pushing yourself hard enough. So just take note of that. But I really think that it should live in a different camp than confidence because we're always going to feel the fear. We just have to learn how to harness that. And we can't let that shake our confidence. The fact that we feel a little fear when we're going into that meeting, don't let that shake your confidence. Put confidence in a separate camp. Confidence is really built by, again, having those people and the surrounding you that believe in you, that encourage you. And this article in the Wall Street Journal that I read actually suggested a confidence journal, which I had never heard of, but I was like, well, that's freaking brilliant. And it's really your own fan book, okay? Write down when someone sends you a nice email or that you did something well, your presentation went great or whatever that is, print it out, stick it in a book, write it down. Write down the things that you do think that you do really well. When you had a great day and you killed it on that sales call, write it in this book. And then the article suggests going back to it when you're feeling down, when you're feeling those low moments where you lack confidence, remind yourself of all those wins because that's really how we want to feel. And if you sort of look at things being aspirational, we're always trying to aspire to something, right? We're trying to aspire to move forward. And having aspirational feelings means you need to put those things in front of you. You need to remember how that felt to win and how much confidence you had and all right, and that if you can feel that and you remember that, then you will strive for that. You will want that more and more. So we tend to wallow in our failures and we need to learn from them for sure, but we need to learn and move on. And so that's what I love about this confidence journal. I'm going to start one because everyone has this issue, but having that thing to look back on, that's going to be really critical because you're going to want more of that. We all want more of success. So put the successful moments up in front of you. Don't wallow in those failures or in those incorrect decisions. just have the confidence that, you know what, next time I'm going to learn and I'm going to do better. So just a couple things to remember, some tips just to reiterate. Number one, surround yourself with people who see your superpowers, who know how incredible you are, and make sure that you have access to those people. Make sure you're taking that feedback. And you know what? If there are people in your life that are negative or naysayers or always have a negative word, you can't always get away from them, but you can certainly go, wah, wah, wah. You can hear this, you tune them out. And you really need to work hard. It's definitely a discipline because the negative things are always so much louder in our head, but you got to work to focus on that. So surround yourself with people that you know in a quick phone call or a quick email or a text can give you that confidence. Number two, keep that confidence journal. I'm going to do it. And I would love to hear your comments. I'd love to check back in a month or so and see how many of you have done this confidence journal, have started one, and how much it has inspired and encouraged you, because I think it's a super cool idea. And also that remember that fear and confidence can live really happily side by side. Harness that fear. Make sure you understand that it can actually be a great driver for you because you know you're pushing yourself, and have confidence in that. By like, man, I am pushing through that fear. That should actually give you more confidence. And lastly, there is power in numbers. So if you got to present at a big meeting and you know some of your posse's there, tell them what you're going to present ahead of time. Get that buy-in. Make sure that you got a little plant in that room that's going to raise their hand and say, wow, Melinda, that's a great suggestion, and have a really cool question backing it up. Sometimes just that initial comment that starts the affirmation can really be a windfall. Then all of a sudden everybody else gets on board. It influences others' decisions. So make sure that you've got those people that have your back in the room. And I'm just going to encourage you to find those relatable role models. On the Dot has them for you every single day for this exact reason. Because at the end of the day, if we all just trained our brain for 4 minutes every morning, that you got this, she's doing it, you can do it too, it would change the trajectory for women. I believe that to my absolute core, which is why I'm doing this. On the Dot is free. It's 4 minutes. It's Audible. I hope that if you haven't signed up and joined our movement, that you will do that. And more importantly, once you sign up and you start doing it, share it with other women in your life. Give everyone, every woman around the globe, the opportunity to have access to these incredible, relatable role models. And if you're in the US, you can text 345-345. You text the word empower, to 345-345. And boom, easy, sign up, put your email address in, and you're done. Or you can go to onthedotwoman.com. But we just encourage you to join this movement because we are going to solve all these issues, because the next full page in the Wall Street Journal is going to say, wow, what happened with women? All of a sudden, women are going for it. They're applying for jobs at record rates. They are killing it in the boardroom. They're at the top of every company. And the Wall Street Journal is not going to know what happened. But guess what? I'm going to tell them. So anyway, thank you all for being here. And just remember, no matter what, you got this. You got this. And the women that you surround yourself with will help you get there. Take care, and I'll see you next week.